Okay.
Yeah, so my name is Vanessa, and yeah, I just met you a couple of weeks ago in Vienna at this beautiful Gentle Warrior ceremony where you were doing concert with Philip Arken, and yeah, he was also singing beautifully with you, and your music touched me very deeply, and since then, um, yeah, your music is for me something very soothing and that brings me back into my body. Kind of, it immediately brings me back into my body and in my heart and into my center, so to say. And it's not only your music, it's also your voice. Your voice is so, I think I said it on that evening at the concert, is so, yeah, like so gentle and soft and so strong at the same time and so powerful. And yeah, it does something, I don't know. And yeah, so, and it did that again a couple of days ago when you were sharing a Facebook Live, and I was in a strange mood, and then I heard you singing, and I was immediately like, oh my God, yes, thank you. So, and um, then I had this idea of doing this call with you and to just get to know you a little bit about you and your music and what your where your inspiration comes from and so on. And um, I was thinking about what's my intention for this call. And what came up is, let's make it a joyful healing call. I don't know what that means actually, but it sounds good. And let's
Mm.
see how, yeah, what happens. Yeah. So, how are you at this moment?
Um, Good question. I'm well in this moment. Yeah, it's very nice. I'm very glad to have been sort of personal, functional pursuit on the armchair over there, and into a place of actual connection with someone else, and also to be talking about to be also to be I guess to be being connecting to the truth of um, my existence, that I connect to it through my music in just a slightly different way by talking about it, which is just an interesting thing. Immediately it's like, oh wow, because I'm in this, normally I'm in this doing world where I'm either singing or I'm trying to be of service by sharing what I'm singing, and that's my life, is that, or I'm just having my connecting and being have my sort of responsibilities towards those people in my family, and but so that's what my life's that. So it's actually a rather, it's first of all, I feel it's very nice. First of all, just also I just realized it's quite nice sitting in this room. I'm normally sitting at there are all these new things that are going on at the moment because of this new life and this sort of new way of looking at things. So suddenly it's like, oh, this is rather nice sitting in here. I mean, I think I'd quite like to sit, and it feels nice to be sat as if I'm meditating or something. And I haven't really been doing that at all for the last 2 weeks. I've just been um, kind of just doing other stuff. So yeah, I feel I'm very, very interested in. Well, I'm sort of fast. I'm also I'm really really yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it? Just the human, what it is that we what comes out of us, what comes through us, what this thing is that is music, or that is the human voice, or and what its role is for us. Is it teaching us? Are there sort of is there, what its role this music and these songs are? Because obviously this is what humans do. There are people like me who we all sing to some extent, but there are people who are sort of who sing songs for us. I mean, and there are people who channel certain songs. Then there's communities that sing those songs. But so it's just interesting. I find it fascinating, and I'm very. To me, it's just like I guess my way of looking at it is that I just try to. It's just my way of connecting with what I feel is most beautiful. I'm just going to make sure. That is turned off. There you go. It's just my way of connecting to what is. It's my way of sort of connecting to what is the most true, or most beautiful, or most present in life. I guess it's just allowing myself to be completely connected to consciousness in a sort of visceral human form, and then just allowing that to come out. And then over the years, it's been a case of trying to work through all the different barriers to being that free or vulnerable or clear or just naturally expressive. And so there've been lots of things to go through, and there still are always things to go through. But now, where I'm at now with it is I'm much more free and able to be. I've learned how to be absolutely so I can put my full expression into it without there are no fears or insecurities around that. So that makes it and also there's quite a lot of the detritus and karma or accrued stuff from either lifetimes or this lifetime that are in my body and in my consciousness have been cleaned much more than they were, let's say, that have been sort of cleaned out. So therefore for both those reasons, I'm just able to just be in that place and just enjoy being there. And then maybe that's what you're connecting with and feeling, or why you're connecting with the music and feeling it as you are.
So was it something that happened, like this process of cleansing and cleansing all these layers? Was it like a conscious process, or was it kind of happening?
Yes, it's exactly the same conscious process we all go on from being, I want to be happy, basically. So it's a conscious process, really. Essentially, well, it might not. I don't know how conscious it was. I'd say it was pretty conscious, but it was formed in different. It had different language that surrounded it. But I'd say it was pretty conscious for most of my life. Probably the choices I was making and why I was making them, my understanding of having this one experience, trying to do things that would work through and confront the things that were making me unhappy and make me happier, while also corresponding to this sort of set of moral values and learning all that stuff. Yeah, it was it's been going on, but it got more and more articulated and conscious as the years went by. So therefore it became specifically you know, because I've always been writing poetry since I was 14, and I've always thought, even at that age, I came from a privileged upbringing, and my dad had a very conventional job in the city, and so I was immediately, you know, the choice. I was surrounded by people who were going very privileged, and I was thinking, well, if I'm privileged, surely what I should just try to do. I've been given this opportunity to do the most interesting thing I possibly can do with my life. What would be the most interesting? You know, I've really got to make the most of this opportunity I have. I was like, I was like, well, I'd be a poet. It was like, yeah, that'd be a poet. Like, that's like the best thing you could possibly be, would be to be a poet. Poet's just like experiencing life and writing about one's joy and ecstasy of being alive. It's like there's this thing called a poet. Amazing. I'm going to be that. I mean, how would you not want to do that? Why is not everyone not ticking that one?
So that was a conscious choice.
Well, it was conscious. It was conscious in the sense it was like it wasn't Machiavellian. It wasn't like, oh, let's see, that would be the best way. But it was like essentially, it was like, well, yeah. I mean, like they're poets. It's like, why do they get to be poets? And you know, like if they get to be poets, and I want to, you know, like I'm gonna get and then it was also backed up. I mean, this is the nature of how we recreate history and talk about our lives. You know, this is how do I know what I really thought when I was 14? It's 32 years later. I don't actually know. This is my story of what I thought when I was 14. Mm-hmm. I don't know what was going through my mind when I was 14, but my story and my understanding of it now and how I've seamed together that narrative is that that happened. I was in a creative writing class. I wrote a poem. The whole class loved it. And the next time we came back, everyone said, and this is in a place where I wasn't massively popular, wasn't like, I was, you know, just a bit new and not really, a little bit wary of, you know, showing my colors fully, and went back to the class the second time and everybody's like, oh, get Johnny to do the poem. He's really good at poems. And I was like, really? Oh, am I? Oh, cool. That's good. I didn't know. I liked it, but I didn't know that you liked it. And so from there was this confidence. So that was that combined with the fact that it was like, what's one going to do with one's life? Combined with the fact that when you tell everybody you're going to be a poet and you come from a sort of conservative background, they go, you can't do that. So immediately like, well, yes, I can. That's the story I tell myself anyway. So that's how it started. But then obviously there's just a natural joy and love of life and experience. And so you just get in the habit of like looking at things and feeling things and going, surely what life's about is this feeling at the end of the movie when the credits are coming up. I just remember these first things when you were a teenager, you know, sitting with my mother watching the telly, watching some film, just going, oh, Mom, I want to feel like this for the rest of my life. I love this feeling. I love this feeling of feeling like so emotional and kind of melancholy and torn up, and it's over, like the film's over, but oh God, I'm just swimming in this emotion. It's like, what is this, Mom? This is like amazing. This is how I want to feel. Yeah, things like that. There are those key moments. You go back to the beginning of your life when you're experiencing this stuff for the very first time. And I guess also there's trauma there as well. There's like when I experienced sex for the first time, it was very traumatic. And so if I put that same template of how important, significant those experiences are, then there was quite a lot of traumatic stuff to do with sex that I had to work through over the course of my life, basically. That's just a bit of a side note. I thought I'd just throw it in there because it came up.
So it was then that feeling of, oh, I don't want to, or this consciousness of, I don't want to feel this feeling again, like the opposite that you experienced before.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it was like not wanting to. That's interesting. No, I'm not. No, it was. sort of more slightly, probably more slightly bit more complex than that, but it was just but yes, in essence, sure, there would be a journey trying to go towards feeling comfortable with intimacy and trusting in intimacy. But that would be going back very, very, very early in my life. But anyway, this is, I don't think it's necessarily, I mean, I don't really mind, because I feel it's quite empowering talking about like deeply personal stuff, because it doesn't, but in a way it might just get too specific and not sort of like, you know, not that useful. But I guess talking about it in a bit more of a descriptive way, that, as you can tell from me naturally leaping into talking about stuff like that, that the reason I do that is because I feel there's massive strength in, as you'll have seen at the Gentle Warrior ceremony, and hopefully in this conversation, and that's where the joy can come from, is just from being totally transparent. I mean, that's the thing that I've learned over my life, and that again is my gift of what I can do, is I can show things on the inside, on the outside. That's fine. I mean, he just says everything. He says everything about anything inside him, anything that's happened, whatever. He's like, so that's massive.
It was a cut now, maybe in the internet.
Okay.
So who are you talking about? Who is
Talking about me?
you? So you can talk about anything, everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I say I basically I can show I can show what's on the inside, on the outside of it. Is like, it's just, that is my gift. And so realizing, I think I probably realized that more specifically about 10 years ago, like more absolutely like, oh right, this is like, so you just sort of realize more and more as you say certain things you're scared of saying, and then you see the impact, because you're scared about saying a certain thing, and then it's like everyone in the room, or you know, someone says, oh yeah, that exact same thing happened to me, or that same thing happened to me, or that's what I feel, or some person you think was gonna, or even down to like small things. There's just different other ways of being generous / brave, which are just literally expressing yourself, like how you dress. What about dressing in something that's outlandish and extravagant, and you walk down past a building site and you think that all the builders are going to like hurl bricks at you because you're expressing some sort of feminine essence, and you're wearing a purple velvet jacket. I used to wear a purple velvet jacket every day, or I used to wear, you know, certain things or whatever, and you know, this guy in a hard hat from the building site goes, fucking great jacket, mate. And you're like, oh my God, that's so weird. I thought he was going to beat me up. And he just came up to me, he goes, fucking great jacket, mate.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I'm just doing a good job. This is a good thing to be doing. But like, people all just want to be like this. Whether it's however it is, it's open, you know, and so therefore you also realize that you also get people who don't like you, and you become cool with people who don't like you. You're just triggering them. And you're like, your job is to trigger them, not in a nasty way. It's like you're not doing it on purpose, but you're like, okay, I'm not going to take it personally. If like, oh, I've had people where I live here. I've had this great, I've had people, I won't even go again. Sometimes the specifics lead it down a rabbit hole where you have to end up telling the whole story, otherwise it doesn't get understood. So, but I've had situations here where people have said the most extraordinary things about what they think my beliefs are, or who I am, or what I'm like, that you're just like, how on earth, what on earth are you thinking? Like, what, because they must be just so triggered by who I am or what I'm like. It's just, so that part of the journey again is learning all that stuff. And that's, so yeah, that's slightly got off topic, but yeah.
No, but it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, that's especially in this time. It's what people experience very often, that or I can say that I experienced that in the last days, like people assuming something which is not true about me, and to deal with that, and as you said, to show yourself fully, you know, with not only with the good stuff, but also with your weakness, vulnerability, whatever, you know, whatever shows up, imperfection, and yeah, and to be still be you. And there are always people who don't like you like you are.
Mm.
And there are always people saying, yeah, that's good, we at least expect it. So
Mm.
it's an interesting journey. And I would like to know, um, was it like, was there a kind of a turning point where you felt I'm not that scared anymore, or did you get used to this?
Mm.
Like showing up fully and being transparent and being okay with not, or being okay with being judged, and or was it like a long process over time, or was it, yeah, I don't know.
Um, I think there was definitely basically it just got better and better, and so there was and there were and I became more and more. So I think I was pretty. It's almost like you have this strong current pulling you along at a certain trajectory. You can have a current pulling you at a trajectory. So you're on this trajectory, whatever, and so it's pulling you through all this stuff. But you have to go through. There are all this. It's almost maybe it's a bit like a plane going through clouds or something. You have to go through all this stuff, and then you gradually get through it. Then you're in the clear, and and maybe the clouds get less and less intense, and then it gradually clears out until you're in a clear place. Um, so um, there was a long period of where my a lot of pain. I mean, like so you would just have different pain. For me, I had an attachment, a deep attachment to recognition and appreciation. So I wanted, the role, the archetype I was using for my journey to learn my wisdom journey was this archetype of sort of rock star. So I was wanting, and because I sort of, to me, that sort of was like, oh, well, if I'm going to be a poet, that's good, but I also want to sing my poems, and it all just sort of naturally led up to being somebody wanting that. But then all my conditioning was all to do with success and achievement, and all the pressure um, from my background and maybe from myself was to do with making showing people what I was capable of. Like basically, there was quite a lot of pressure. Essentially, it was like, well, how are you going to make money? It's always to do with making money, to do with like, how are you going to do this thing? So you're trying to. So I was trying to both carry on. I knew without any doubt there was this absolutely solid bit, which was like, I am never going to give up doing this. This is my life. This is the only thing I'm ever going to do. I know that. And that's always been totally central, just like this huge. So it's more just a case of, okay, I really want to make everyone happy around me as well. I mean, I know I'm not going to stop doing this, but so you kind of go, oh, well, and in this case, it was like, can I get commercial success with music? And so I became attached to the specific goal of getting commercial success with music, not because I wanted commercial success with music, or that I necessarily had thought through that would be how I'd be of most service, but I kind of, my rational expert thing was like, well, if I get a 200 grand publishing deal, then my mum and dad will get off my back and they'll be cool. And also, I guess maybe that is the best way of going about it, because that'll get my message out to the more people. It's a very classic sort of egoic, it's a classic way lots of people who do music look at how they're trying to achieve certain things. They try to sort of, they go, oh yeah, if I become U2, then that's being of the most help to people, because in this very sort of 3D, most people, and then also I'll make money, and then everything in my life will be sorted out. So everybody aims for this very particular thing. So that brought a lot of that was kind of the wheel. I was the hamster wheel I was strapped to, and so that went on for a while. There was a certain point as that became more and more frustrating and not flowing. And I was, that's that whole thing. So basically what we do, what's classic human thing to do is that the classic lesson, which everybody learns, is that if you have a very specific idea of what you want, that's basically, rather than you're focusing on the trajectory, you're focusing on the aim or the end point. That's your ego that is coming up with that, and it's choosing it for, it might seem like a really, really grand, amazing ambition, but it's making, out of all the infinite realms of possibility, it's giving this one tiny point that you can get to. So it's just so, it's like such a huge demand you're making of the universe. It's like, no, I want this. I know there could be everything, but I want exactly this. And yes, I'm actually happy to say that I know better than anything to do with the universe or anything to do with spirit. I know better that that is the thing I'm meant to be doing, because I've really thought about it. And I think that's the thing I really should be doing. So obviously there's this huge, people that some people are stuck in that their entire lives. Some people go through lives and lives and lives probably going through that exact same thing because they just don't get it. I probably went through lives and lives and lives doing it. And then eventually you finally get to the point where you're like, oh, just a minute, maybe I can let go of this. So anyway, so I've always been wanting to do what is the most, just trying to feel into what is going to be the quickest and most challenging and bravest thing I can do to try to get to the heart of the problem or get through this stuff. So I basically, yeah, so I'd say yes, in answer to your question, about 2010, it's about 10 years ago, yes, age 36, I definitely, 2010, yeah. That was about 9 or 10 years ago. There was a big shift because I finally was like, okay, what I'm going to do is set off into the world with my guitar and no plan. Idea being to let my songs organically lead me around the world, to be a troubadour for real. My conditioning would be to have a plan. I knew my parents would freak out if I said I was going to go off around the world with no plan, letting my songs lead me around the world. It's like everybody would think I was mad. And so I was like, that's what I've got to do. So that's what I did. And within 2 months, something like that, of doing that, I had a huge, massive breakthrough. And since then, essentially by jumping off, and I ended up the other side of the world in Australia. It's a magical, mystical time. I had like these extraordinary synchronicities happen, and I basically got shown a meditation technique. I'd never meditated before in my life up until that point, which is crazy. I mean, obviously, probably once or twice, but it'd never been something on my radar until I was, to 37. And I got shown this technique, and within 2 days of being shown this meditation technique, my life had just changed completely. So it's like I had a massive breakthrough experience meditating, and it was like, oh my God, that's what meditating is, and that's what it brings you, and this is what life is, and this is the present. I did never experience the present, and except fleetingly passing through it in between anxiety and depression. And I don't mean over the top, I wasn't with it, but it's like that was just life. Normal life for me was just not, I didn't understand. I didn't have the technique. And so I had a massive change. And within a couple of months, everything shifted from there. So yeah, and from there, I think I got very into meditation, and then I carried on various different other aspects of my journey, which were set to unfold for me, because that was which are just, there you go, more details. But yes, there was that's a little bit of a blah blah blah.
Was it Yeah, was it kind of a special meditation or focusing on something, or was it just sitting
Yeah,
there? Okay.
it was Master Shah, who is a Taoist teacher, amazing Taoist master of loads of different things, and he has his own um, mantras and different things. And this was a specific meditation called a healing golden light ball meditation. And I needed to read out to myself on my, it was given to me by an acupuncturist who gifted me a book of Master Shah's teachings. He said, oh, look, you just go to this page, read this divine download out to yourself in a room on your own, and then chant the word Jong, Zhong, while imagining a golden ball of light 2 fingers below your belly button in your dantian, and do that for 40 minutes every day. So it was a pretty basic energy dantian meditation. I don't know if it was basic, but it was like I don't know, so that's what it was. It was a Taoist thing, and I did it for 40 minutes a day, and within 2 days, can't believe I only did that little, but that, yeah.
What happened then? Did it bring you into the present?
Yeah. So basically, it brought me into um, it. Yeah, it essentially said. I mean, I guess if you've waited your whole life and you've been as into this stuff as I was, like into poetry and life and love and wanting to be happy and whatever, and I hadn't meditated, that I had so much desire to be in that thing that I think maybe when I said this divine download, I was so ready. And then I'd thrown myself out the other side of the world. I was in this house. I was living in this place. I was totally on my own. I didn't want to even be in Australia. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was completely sort of at a loss as to how I was totally at my nadir, basically. And I had a week or so before this, I'd completely surrendered my will. I guess you could say, well, I just completely surrendered. And I just said, okay, look, I'm going to stay here in this muck because I don't even feel good. I don't like it here. I'm lonely. I'm depressed. I don't know how to make this thing work. I've got know that I'm able to connect with people with my music and stuff. I know there's this thing that I do, but why am I? Everything always just falls apart. There's always the same stuff comes up, and then like someone comes up and wants to be my manager, and then they want to get me a deal with Sony, and then it all falls through, and there's all this and it's just I'm swimming in this sort of pain, and so I'm like going, what? So I said, okay, you're going to stay here until you get to the other side of this, and I committed to staying in Australia until I got to the other side of the problem. And I was like, if that's 3 years, if it's 4 years, 5 years, whatever, I'm going to stay here. And that was a big deal for me to do that. That was like, I mean, what are you, what are your family going to say? What are you like? You don't know anyone. You don't even like it here. This is like, what do you get like? And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just doing it. I'm just not going to. So I guess that's really, it was a pretty deep level of surrender to the journey. I was 37, single, had made no real splash in any way with my career of music, had lots of expectation from my family on what I was going to do with my life, as we all do. We all just we all have very similar situations in different ways. And so yeah, so it was that. So I guess that was the backdrop to it, was that, and then from that surrender, as I've now learnt, because that was my first real experience of surrender, and this might ring true with people who with yourself. Um, um, there's this extraordinary, which actually almost is maybe like what's happening, what's going to happen now in this next shift in with global consciousness. But there is this, you don't want to surrender because you feel like it's too huge, because it would take forever, and you can't see how it could possibly change or anything could possibly shift. But somehow you find it in yourself to surrender to things as they are and just say, I'm just going to stay here until, just accept it. And then when you do that, so you almost have to lose any concept that it is going to change, and you're not doing it because if you do that, then it's going to.
I know. Life isn't stupid.
Because that's not it.
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah. In fact, it's funny looking at your yin yang, because this is almost the same thing. I could just imagine them slipping over each other time and time again. So anyway, so that what happened really was I surrendered, and then from that, life brought in this experience where I met this acupuncturist. He said, "What do you want to do with me to do?" And I said, "Well, I've got these varying degrees of anxiety and stress and depression. I'd like to just even out, and I'd like to fulfill my potential to help others in the world." And he was like, oh, so not a bad back then. And he goes, "Have you ever meditated?" And I was wondering whether I should say, "Oh, well, my music's my meditation." Everybody always has some sort of thing they say when they're asked if they meditate, which is just hilarious. What's hilarious is just how I didn't understand what meditation was. Nobody understands not nobody, but so when you don't understand what it is, you really don't get it. You just thinking it's some esoteric, weird thing that's separate from life or something. You're like, no. Anyway, so I was ready, I guess. And so when I got given this opportunity to be given this practice, and also within this amazing, and I think Master Shah really is an amazing teacher, and there's this Taoism is very, very powerful energies with it. So all that stuff, I don't know anything about that, but I just experienced a very, very strong transformation, where suddenly from being just feeling lost and miserable, I suddenly was like, oh my, feeling incredibly happy. So, so that's a transformation. That's the transformation, really, isn't it? From being lost and miserable to being massively happy. You could put it in other words, but I mean, that's essentially where you're like, oh, okay, shit, game on. And you suddenly I did something right. And you intuitively know, because you're a human being, and this is what all humans are on the same journey and always have been, and all your lifetimes you've been on the same journey. So you intuitively know that this is the absolute sort of seminal human experience you're going through. And so therefore you sit up and you give up smoking and you stop drinking and you meditate twice as much, and you tell everybody about this thing, and you start getting everybody to sit down with you and going, "Dog," and you sing songs. When you sing, you're like, wow, I'm so present when I sing now. It's like, this is amazing. I'm no longer paranoid. No, I don't want to drink when I'm singing. I don't want to get stoned. I mean, this is amazing. Or it's just so anyway. So it just carries on, and that's where for me, that's where the journey began. Really, is there, because I did since then. Then you sort of go into it, and then on a certain level you can approach the work you need to do, because it's fun, because you have the tools, and because you're coming out of the misery. You've reached the bottom and you're coming out the other side, and so therefore it's all fun from there on in. Up to then you've been kind of in the dark. You've been struggling along in the dark. And I can't look back at any of that stuff prior to that and really say it was. I'd say everything in my life, anything I've experienced since then, has been fun. Even the worst pain. I've been through lots of pain and stuff since then, pain, pleasure, but the whole thing, if I just feel into it, and I'm again creating a sort of fictionalized history of my life, which is just what feels true, I'd say everything's been fun since that moment. Okay. Whatever the challenges, whatever. And prior to that, it was all misery. That would be and again, that's just this sort of ridiculous approximation that isn't accurate, because obviously one has lots of fun times before that and fun times, but so yeah, it's been so and then also that gives you the chance to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So I've gone very deep with other meditation techniques and other healing modalities since then. And each step of the way, the voice gets clearer. Each step of the way you evolve, because I've got this barometer, which is my music, which is my songs, because of basically all I exist for is to be, and also I've learned that I don't have any attachment to, it's taken me a long time to lose it, but I don't have any attachment there that is in the way of my doing what I do purely. I don't have this attachment to, or pain attached to who it's received by, how many people it's received by, where it's going to go. I'm aware that just simply from being, I'm grateful, incredibly grateful for the life I have, and that I'm just here to, I quite like when people talk about this thing, this phrase, which has recently come in, which I don't really understand because I don't, I relate to it when people talk about fifth dimensional energy and 3D energy, and it's sort of just, I feel like, yeah, there's something about this. What the work I'm doing is by grounding this, the stuff that I'm working with is just in itself satisfying, and I'm grounding it here. And my service is to, and I just feel very strongly that it's like, I'm just here to make these albums as well as I can and share them as much as I can. Recorded music is a beautiful energy. It's because it's so easy to transport. You can send MP3s around the world like that, and they last forever. So make really good recordings. Keep we've got this technology to keep that vibration, that energy sonically in this incredible space. Someone can press play on it in 25 years, be exactly the same coming out the speakers. That's amazing. Likewise, that energy can be transmitted to people in a ceremony. You can have that song. One of my songs might be in your head. You might sing a song of mine in the shower, and that energy's there. You know. So these songs are, you realize there's something so special about songs, you know, just that. So yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm rabbiting on. You got me in the morning. I just had a coffee. I mean, I just like
So you're a morning person, obviously.
Yeah.
You just need a coffee and you can keep talking and talking. Great.
Yeah. It's a combination coffee, and then you sort of talk to you say, Jont, would you like to talk to us about your life and your music? It's like, oh, I mean, okay.
Perfect. I really love the when you were talking about this, your surrender, and this is what I experience a lot, that this is the key to invite life, to get to be the magnet, or to flow with life, or however you want to call it. But this surrendering is so yeah, for me it's one of the most important things. And is it something you still have to do, or consciously, or is it just happens naturally, kind of?
I think that it's natural to, it gets more and more natural to be conscious. So I think that's probably the, you know, like gradually. So I think I think everything just becomes, gradually everything becomes easier. So, you know, so that's routines change. There were definitely 4 or 5 years there where I meditated 2 hours a day. That was a big part of my life. And now I don't, you know, meditation is like, I'm not, so I like meditating. I love meditating. It's great, but I don't do it as a regular daily practice now, which is interesting, because I mean, even 6 months or a year ago, I'd be thinking, part of me would be like, oh, you know, I should do this meditation. I'm thinking, well, just a minute, how are you feeling? It's like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling, so do it like why, like, so I'm, yeah, so that's so I'm finding that naturally there's a way of being enjoying life. Yeah, just being present and enjoying what it is to be human. I guess that's where I'm at the moment, enjoying what the different emotions that come up, and just being happy with not just, but I'm quite influenced by Rupert Spira. I don't know if you know the teacher Rupert Spira. He's
No,
a
I don't think so.
non-Buddhist teacher who's got lots of lectures on YouTube and stuff. Yeah, just something about this sort of direct line. He's what's it? Ramanesh Maharshi, is that the name of
Mm-hmm.
the? Yeah, that, yeah. So he's definitely learned a lot from him, and this sort of direct line meditation. I quite enjoy that technique. That new, whereas it's really not about putting effort in. You're just there, and you're just there. So you're not, and so if you find yourself really just trying to struggle to be there, then you're not doing it right. You know, like you're just allow something about that, just allowing things, and that's been quite influential in my life, I think, recently. And then there's something, yeah.
So surrender is also linked for you with meditation.
I think, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I consciously am thinking about surrender. Well, I guess I am. I mean, it depends how one looks at surrender. But I mean, constant life, every day, one is sort of surrendering in a way to the flow. I mean, I guess that's what I think of a lot of the time, is that one is. Yes, I mean, yeah, definitely. I could, yes, there would be a link to meditation, but then also life, that one's life as a meditation. And I often think of the image, for me, I don't know why, but this is just what helps me, is like of floating downstream on one's back. If you're floating downstream on your back, you kind of need to put a certain amount of effort in to keep your legs up. And maybe sort of paddle with your hands a bit. So there's a certain amount of effort and energy you have to put in, but essentially you're letting the river take you. And there's something about that I don't think that's necessarily a brilliant metaphor or parallel. It's just something personally that comes to me and comes to mind when I think about the nature of what one tries to do in life. You know, constantly with music, you know, there's it's a two-part. And this, I'm sure there must be a parallel for this with everybody with what they're doing. And so for me, it's like there's the creation and the making of this thing and the joy of doing this thing. And then there's the other side, which is the integration of that. And the integration of that in music terms is sharing that with the world. And it's not really quite as glamorous, and it's a little bit harder, and it's much harder and it's quite often, there are quite a lot of sort of traps in there that can, stop you from just simply flowing. But it's an intriguing, a little bit like relationships are. There's this intriguing combination of the two that one gets drawn back towards time and time again to try to master. So you're trying to put all your heart and love and energy into sharing this thing, but you're trying also not to have any attachment to the outcome or what it looks like, and trying to accept things exactly as they're meant to. It's all exactly turning out exactly as it's meant to be. So that's an ongoing, wonderful challenge and teacher every day, you know. So because yeah, and it's so things like that. I'm fascinated by how those things work. And because it's almost like there is this, it's all to do with equanimity, isn't it? It's all to do with middle path stuff, because as soon as you go, and also to realize that you're not really in charge of it. It's not and then again, you are both kind of like controlling it, and then also you're not controlling it. You're part of this greater thing that's moving you around. And if you have, for example, let's say, take a metaphor of the music thing, you know, something which lots of people like and everybody gets really into, well, that suddenly takes you up there, and then suddenly it's much harder, because then you have this expectation and attachment to maintaining that.
Yeah, next time it has to be the same.
Therefore you hold on to that, and then suddenly like, oh, I wasn't so balanced, and like, you know, so there's this, so you are, and the lesson almost seems to be, and I think this is it, you're being taught to just be you. You're being taught that it isn't you that decides whether it goes up, whether it goes whatever. It's just, you're taught just be you. Just be happy with you exactly as you are, because that is the perfection. It's not about being up here, being down there. Those are all, so yeah. So learning to be you in all aspects, in that aspect, in also then just learning how to be you when you're talking, learning how to be you when you're in the music you make, or in the whatever. That's a lesson that you can never finish learning. You think that you've done a recording, or you think you've done something, and you sort of think. I often think to myself, actually, like, if I think of that, if that question is like, how are you being you to your fullest extent? I'll think, I'm not quite. No, I could be more me.
That would have been my next question. Is it, can you really feel it, or can you say it afterwards? Like,
right.
Nah, I think I had expectations, or it wasn't really me, or that's the challenge.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things and also, do you really know? Like when you're looking at your own, if you're looking at a performance you've done, or hearing a recording you've done, or you're thinking of something you've done, do you like do you trust where you're at now, looking at that, saying, oh yeah, that wasn't, it's maybe there's a part of you that doesn't want to. Maybe there's a reason you did something in a certain way, because that was actually helpful to someone else. It's like, maybe that's because you did that, someone else was able to go, oh wow, that's cool, whatever, and you're like, oh really? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's like, yeah.
Or you yourself judge it as, well, it wasn't quite the right way, but for somebody else it was, or maybe you learned something from it. So yeah.
Let's pull a tarot card.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, tell me when.
Stop.
Okay.
What is it?
I don't know.
No-Thingness. Nothingness.
Nothing. Oh, it's black. Yeah. It's just
like
totally black. I love it. It's no-thingness.
No-Thingness. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I love it. You were like, what is it? I was like, I don't know.
Me neither.
I promise the rest of them aren't like that. Okay. No-Thingness.
Maybe it's not written anything.
No, I got it. Okay, I know exactly. There's no page for it. Okay, I love it. And in case you're wondering what that looks like, it's that. Being in the gap can be disorienting and even scary. Nothing to hold on to, no sense of direction, not even a hint of what choices and possibilities might lie ahead. But it was just this state of pure potential that existed before the universe was created. All you can do now is to relax into this nothingness, fall into this silence between the words. Watch this gap between the outgoing and incoming breath, and treasure each empty moment of the experience. Something sacred is about to be born. It's about bloody lockdown.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to just see what Osho has to say about that. Buddha has chosen one of the really very potential words, shunyata. The English word, the English equivalent, nothingness, is not such a beautiful word. Shunyata.
Mm.
That's why I would like to make it no-thingness, because the nothing is not just nothing, it is all. It is vibrant with all possibilities. It is potential, absolute potential. It is unmanifest yet, but it contains all. In the beginning is nature, in the end is nature. So why in the middle do you make so much fuss? Why in the middle becoming so worried, so anxious, so ambitious? Why create such despair? Nothing to nothingness is the whole journey. Oh, sorry, nothingness to nothingness is the whole journey.
Mm.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you. Yeah. Mm.
Well, that was a lovely conversation.
Yeah, but I wanted to close the circle with
Hmm.
one last question, if that's okay.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
so your whole journey and you're expressing yourself with your music, so you can feel the difference in your music, like over the years. Is it that you no, that's not the right question. I guess I've lost it.
Oh, don't. No, no, you haven't. I'm sure it's great. Stay with it. I'm totally into this.
Mm. Is it still changing? Is your expression, your music, is it still, I mean, of course it's still changing, but in what way?
Mm. Um, um, yes, it's still changing without doubt. Yes, it's always changing. Yes, what I've learned is that, or that the, or for me, that's the exciting thing about it, is that it's this changing thing. That what I do is, all I do is keep on clearing, keep on cleaning, keep on learning, and opening myself up to the divine, and um, and then I basically, and being of service with this, allowing I'm just expressing showing my gratitude for life, and my exaltation in being a manifest, um, separated, part of this illusion of separation of being a human, but basically being this piece of God on earth, and enjoying the experience of being a physical being from not just being consciousness. I mean, what we know to be true of being a human. I'm just showing my appreciation and exaltation in being a human through doing this very specific thing, and I have recognized that that is what I'm meant to be here doing, and I'm just trying to show up and do that to its fullest extent. And the nature of that is just like growth. It's like all you're here to do is just keep on growing, keep on growing. So my intention is to grow, and as I grow and I evolve, and my intention is to open and evolve and surrender to that growth, and surrender to however I need to grow, with however allow this love to grow, allow this connection to become pure and purer to love. Then I just have this trust, which I've learned over years, that whatever comes out my mouth, whatever song comes through, will be the echo of that evolution. And I don't, it's not a faith, it's not like I'm right, it's not like there's not a disconnect, because what happens is just I just get given a song, and then it was like, as the song comes out, obviously I will feel amazing because the song is a song. It's not like I'm given this thing and like, oh Jesus, I don't know about that, it's a bit weird. like some boss is giving his secretary a message. It's like, no, I am the conduit, and I am the song, and the thing. So therefore, it's like it's a song that comes through, so it just feels good. So so I've even the most recent songs I've written are the most the closest, the most recent evolutions or echoes of this evolution I've been going through as a person. And and then yeah, sure. And then as all the different layers of stuff have been lost, sure, I don't even care what my voice sounds. I don't even think about it. I just allow the voice to be the voice that is coming through the song. I don't, and it changes and it shifts and it'll just do whatever it's got to do. And a part of me will observe and go, oh, that's interesting. That sounds like this, or that's, I'll notice, even if I don't even think about it or talk about it in my head, I'll still notice, like, that song sounds like this. My voice sounds like this on that song. That's whatever. But it will have happened. There's no part of me, obviously. I mean, obvious to us, but maybe not to other singers and stuff. There's going, oh, I want to sound like this, or I want, that's, so yeah, so it's an ongoing. So yes, because, and there's no feeling of. I also don't even have a necessary feeling. I don't feel compelled to write the whole time. I don't feel compelled to play music the whole time. I don't feel like that's. What I mean is, I don't make myself do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a rule. It's not like. It's. I guess what I mean is I do feel compelled. When I play, I feel compelled. It is when I do it, it's because that is what because it's just it's coming through as a naturally. Yeah, something like that.
And in this time, you are supporting people with doing Facebook Lives and playing your music and sharing things.
Yeah, that's been really, really nice to be able to provide that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can highly recommend this. And I can also recommend this beautiful album of yours. I love it.
Great.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. It's been lovely to chat. Yeah, it's a great idea. Very nice way to spend my morning, actually.
To spend quarantine.
Yeah, it's a very rainy day
Oh,
here.
really?
Yeah, it's a very rainy, grey, wet day outside. So you're like, yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much. Or do you want to sing something, or you want to have breakfast?
Yeah, no, I think it's better just I think that's good. Just it doesn't feel. I feel like it would be. Yeah, could do, but I think it'd be better just to leave it. Have that as a separate thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Yes, you too. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yeah, we talk soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.